I got the Raspberry Pi 3 in.
Yeah.
I was kind of amazed. I didn't realize until it showed up that it was 4 years from the original Raspberry Pi release, leap year, to in honor of the return of February 29th. They did the Raspberry Pi 3. And it's an interesting device, right? It's $35. I'm holding it right here. And hey, kids, it looks like a Raspberry Pi. And if you know, you look really, really closely and you have the right kind of eyes, you might notice that where some LEDs used to be right here is a little blocky antenna, and that's the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antenna, because they finally incorporated Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on the board. They've got a fairly fast Broadcom chipset in there. It's 50% faster, give or take, than the Raspberry Pi 2. It is significantly faster than the Raspberry Pi 1. It's quad core, which is a nice addition. There's only 1 gigabyte of RAM, which a bunch of people, it was interesting to watch the responses, because some people were like, yes, Wi-Fi is on board, Bluetooth is on board, awesome. And then there were a lot of people who were like, I can't believe you haven't put a SATA adapter. I can't believe you haven't put more than 1 gigabyte of RAM on it. I can't believe, and this actually one is probably a pretty legitimate complaint, because essentially the USB and the Ethernet share a single USB input, for lack of a more appropriate term, on the processor. That's been a complaint. So if you want to sort of read and write things from a USB drive through the Ethernet port, you run into traffic issues. Not that you run into a lot of traffic issues with a processor of this size, but it was funny because Element 14 did a bunch of benchmarks of the of it, and then they did some benchmarks. They looked around to look at the sort of raw, like, you know, whetstone type stuff, and performance-wise, it is in the neighborhood of a K7 or a Pentium 3. So the $35 PC is now up to you know, 99, 2000 desktop PC performance.
Right.
With, I suppose, if you think about it, slightly less RAM. But on the flip side, when you look at these, whether you're talking about this or, you know, I've got a chip PC over here, you know, as little standalone devices, as centers for appliances, as little tiny Linux servers, they're getting fairly powerful, which is pretty cool. I actually use this as a desktop to show off the web pages we were using on TekThing this week, and it was doing pretty well. Then it crashed. You know, it's got a version of Minecraft running on it. I actually had Minecraft and a browser running at the same time, which if you've ever tried to run the Raspberry Pi 2 as a desktop machine, you understand why I was kind of fascinated by that.
Right.
But 8 million Raspberry Pis are out in the wild now, and it has a huge collection of projects and ideas. But looks like a good part. Doesn't solve, if you were frustrated with the sort of USB Ethernet combination, it doesn't solve that. It doesn't add SATA. It doesn't add USB 3.0. It doesn't add gigabit Ethernet, but it is considerably faster than the Raspberry Pi 2. And again, it's got Wi-Fi.
A Mai Tai would be good.
Mai Tai on board. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 4.1 and low energy on board. So it's good stuff. Oh, and the GPIO pins are still exactly the same, and it uses, you know, all of the applications or all of the distros that have been made for the Raspberry Pi. You know, Model 2, Model 1 will work with this, which is, I think, very, very smart on their part. And it is a 64-bit part, but they are still running a 32-bit operating system, and the Raspberry Pi organization says they will be experimenting and testing to see if they get any advantage out of a 64-bit version of the operating system.